An absolute value function is a function that has an absolute value in the expression on the right-hand side. And we deal with pretty basic absolute value functions in this class, but anything that has the absolute value with a variable inside is going to be an absolute value function. These are just examples, right? Examples. It's actually the second kind of function that we learned about, right? The first kind was linear. The second kind is absolute value. We okay? So the absolute value, the basic absolute value function, y equals the absolute value of x, is called a parent function, right? Anything else with numbers added inside and outside or negative signs in front are in the family of absolute values. But the parent function, that's terminology they use on the SOLs and in our book, is the absolute value of x. Now, with most functions, at the beginning of the chapter, whatever chapter we're dealing with, the first way you figure out what they're going to look like, plot some points. Just see, before we have a good understanding, let's plot some points and see if we could recognize the shape. So in this case, this is going to be my table of values right here, right? Table of values, right? Where do I get the points that go in the table of values? No, we're going to use these to graph the function, so we can't get them from the graph. Okay? Remember now, the x variable is the independent variable. It's the one you get to choose. So the answer is, you choose the x values, and then you use the function to calculate the y values. So I'm picking these numbers, right? Just, you don't have to wonder why they're these numbers, but they're useful. Come on. I had so much trouble with the screen. Okay? 0, 1, and 2. Okay, now what happens if I plug in x equals -2 into the function? What's the value of y? Positive 2, right? The absolute value of a -2 is positive 2, right? The plug in -1, y equals 1. Plug in 0, 0. Plug in a positive 1, positive 1. Remember, absolute value is always positive, right? Doesn't change a positive number. And plug in 2, and you get 2. So let's plot these 5 points and see what the shape is. Right, so over here on the coordinate axis, we've got -2, 2, -1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, and 2, 2. And what does it look like? It looks like a V. So we're going to connect a line because it's not just those 5 points. The graph is actually a continuous line. That goes through all those points. Right? So first thing, when we have to recognize this graph, we should recognize a V as an absolute value. Right? So the shape is a V, and the point of the V is at the origin, and it's called the vertex.